Hey guys, we're on Unit 11, Avoiding Wordiness and Redundancy, and I have to say this is a crucial unit. This is kind of what we've been building up to really understand and make our sentences really, really clear. So a lot of what I'm saying here you've probably heard me say in class, but we're going to kind of take it one step at a time and go through it. So how do we avoid wordiness and redundancy? Well, to avoid wordiness and redundancy, we want to take out unnecessary words or phrases or take out any words or phrases that repeat themselves. So you can also avoid wordiness by eliminating unnecessary helping verbs, am, is, are, was, were. And we know that I am not a fan of these verbs, right? They are weak verbs. We want to get rid of those when we can. Can't always do it. And instead use active verbs. Also, using active voice instead of passive voice. So you've heard me talk about this before, and we'll go through it one more time today. So there's a lot here. Make sure you have a highlighter as I'm going through here. First thing you want to do is eliminate unnecessary words. So here we have, in spite of the fact that I like you, at this particular point in time, I will not be investing. Too much. Instead, you would say, although I like you, I won't be investing now. Much stronger, much clearer, much more concise. You can also trim it is or they are from virtually any sentence. This is a great piece of advice. And remember, you can do Command F to find this in your paper. So what's wordy, we could say there are 3 rivers that run through this country. Or we could say 3 rivers run through this country. Notice in the second reduced, that is also taken out. Oftentimes the word that does not need to be in our sentence, and it's just adding to the wordiness. Another example says, it is the satisfaction of completing a project that makes construction work rewarding. Okay, long. We could say, the satisfaction of completing a project makes construction work rewarding. Again, taking out the that, much clearer. We can also eliminate redundant expressions. Redundant means that are repeated. So it is redundant to say, Joe is going to fix the broken heater, which is not working. Well, we know it's not working because it's broken. So you don't really need the second half of that sentence. You're making your reader work harder, and we don't want to do that. So we would just say, Joe is going to fix the broken heater. Great. Or the Lions lost 6 consecutive games in a row. Well, consecutive means in a row. So do we really need that? No. We could just say the Lions lost 6 consecutive games, which I'm okay with because I'm a Bears fan. Okay. You can also avoid using helping forms of to be, am, is, are, was, were, whenever possible. You could say Eurycles is serving as a foil for Odysseus. Or what we would want to say instead of is serving, and we talked about this a lot in our narrative unit, I don't know how to pronounce the name, Eurycles serves as a foil for Odysseus. So instead of is serving, change it to serves. Much stronger, much clearer. Okay, lastly, we've talked about this before, very, very important, active versus passive voice. We want to avoid the passive voice at all cost. So here, wordy or passive, America was destroyed by Christopher Columbus. I'm sorry, discovered. No. Or Christopher Columbus discovered America, right? So we want the subject of the person doing the action to come first, not vice versa. When it does this, it's passive voice, and oftentimes that by is there. You may also see in passive voice that this is completely deleted. America was discovered. That's still passive voice. Even though it's not wordy, I understand. It's still passive, right? Who discovered America? Lots of those questions. So we want to always have the who in the sentence. Also, wordy or passive from the Scarlet Letter. Hester is forced to look inward and to question the central tenets of Puritanism by her isolation. Okay. Very, very wordy sentence, very confusing. Instead, we want to say Hester's isolation forces her to look inward and question the central tenets of Puritanism. Now, just a note about this with wordiness and redundancy. I find that students think that the first sentence, the wordy one, typically sounds better because they think it sounds smarter and more complex. That is not true. It does not make you sound smarter or more complex when you use all those phrases and words and all of that. It makes it confusing, and we don't want to confuse the reader. We always want to be really clear as writers. So let's practice these two together. There are a great deal of people at this particular time in history who avoid making any statements that may be considered controversial. It's very long. Maybe we could write something like this. At this time in history, there are many people who avoid controversial statements. Much shorter. I took out And I just said there are many people instead of great deal. I try to push that together. At this time in history, I took out particular time, and I still kept, instead of avoid making any statements, to take that ing verb. They just avoid it. I don't need both. Let's look at the next one, Dimsdale. So here I have Dimsdale is prevented from finding redemption throughout the action of the novel by cowardice. Ugh, that's really ugly. What we want to do is make the thing do the action, right? So we have cowardice prevents, strong verb, Dimsdale from, what do I have? Finding redemption. Do I need finding? I don't think I do. I'm going to take that out too. Prevents it from redemption in the novel. I don't think I need throughout the action of the novel, unless you're going to talk about action in the rest of your story. Okay, here we go again. All right, so here we go. Avoiding wordiness and redundancy, a real problem in writing. So make sure you follow these rules, do the work, and we'll check them in class.